comes in the future. Next step in the process is for the bid board to meet and make a recommendation for what that ordinance would look like. Then you'd pass a resolution of intent that would set a hearing for the ordinance to be heard. You have to publish notice. So there's several other steps in the process. Really tonight, this is just the first step, getting that bid board set up and creating that boundary. So don't need to get too much into the weeds right now, but along with renewing this, eventually, if this new business improvement district goes through, the intention would also be to terminate the old business improvement district simultaneously so that only this one would continue on in the future. Another thing about it that would be a significant improvement is the intention would be to codify the new provisions for the business improvement district, which we have not done in the past, which makes it very, very difficult to explain and track the history on it, which this would definitely help simplify that process. So I guess with that, can open it up for any other questions.
I think just one additional comment, the initial members that you see on the appointment have already been talked to and have agreed to serve in that role.
Correct, yep. Which took a while.
It did. Okay, entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. McCardle. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? Roll call.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher.
Aye.
McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Charts.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries. Excuse me, action to approve resolution R 2023-56, amending City of Mitchell water and sewer rates and fees to fund current and future infrastructure improvement projects by implementing surcharge.
As the mayor stated earlier in the meeting, this is not actually increasing our rates at all. The city has already established rates through December of 2024. The only thing that we're doing is effective August 7th, tonight. It's implementing the surcharge of $10.30 a month per user. That surcharge is obligated to pay off the debt for our SRF loan 06, which is our ground storage water tank. So the way the city does this is we collect all of our fees first, and then based on the debt obligations that we have, we segregate those fees out each month based on each surcharge that is already established. So the only thing that is changing on our rates is the two highlighted items. Effective August 7th, we're implementing this additional surcharge. Again, the rates are not increasing. We're just segregating a portion of those fees into the surcharge that's obligated to the debt, and we cannot close on our loan until we've implemented that surcharge.
But yet the rates per unit of water is not going up, but your bill will go up.
No, nothing is going up. The user
just
will not
dedicated.
see a difference at all. This is really just an accounting process for us. Once Michelle has all the receipts for the month, then she looks at the number of users, calculates it against the surcharge, and then segregates that into a different revenue line that is then obligated to pay the debt. The users will not see anything different on their bills. It's just an administrative process we have to do to say that we're going to segregate that revenue.
It's just paperwork basically to make,
Basically, yes.
to get it done right.
And we have to be able to show on our rate resolution that we've implemented the surcharge. Our process has been to just include all the rates so we don't have to go back and track through 5 different resolutions what's all changed. Now, everything is current on this resolution.
Okay, entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. McCardle. Okay, further discussion?
I just wanted to be sure that everybody realized we are not increasing rates with the resolution.
Anybody in the audience wish to address this? Okay, roll call.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Charts.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, action to approve Resolution R 2023-58, a resolution giving approval to certain drinking water facility improvements, giving approval to the issuance and sale of revenue bond to finance directly or indirectly the improvements to the facilities, approving the form of the loan agreement and the revenue bond and pledging project revenues and collateral to secure the payment of the revenue bond, and creating special funds and accounts for the administration of funds for the operation of the system and retirement of the revenue bond, and providing for the segregated special charge or surcharge for the payment bonds. Ms. Elway.
Sorry for the long title. I will blame bond counsel on that. This is a standard resolution that the city has to pass before we can close on our loan for the SRF loan for our DW06, which is the groundwater storage tank. It's the final step, and we could not do that until we've implemented the surcharge. Once we pass the bond resolution, staff can close on the loan, and we can start seeking reimbursement for the expenses we've started to incur for that. Like I said, this is a standard resolution. It's for new council members. This action is not referable because you do a public hearing when you apply for the loan that is a referable piece. This is considered administrative because we're closing on the loan now. In other words, if we don't do it, we're paying it out of cash.
I have a question. Jill, where are they at on the project?
The basement's poured for the pumping facility structure. The floor is poured for the ground storage tank, and the walls and roof are being poured on site.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Mr. McCardle,
Second.
and by Mr. Bathke.
Yep.
Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address it? All those in favor, roll call.
Barrington. Aye. Bathke.
Aye.
Charts.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher.
Aye.
McCardle.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Action to approve resolution R 2023-59, declaring real property surplus, appointing president board, and authorizing an auction. Mr. Johnson.
All right, so this would be in relation to actually 7 of the 8 parcels that recently were voted on by the public to be undesignated as parkland. These 7 lots would be getting declared surplus. As part of that surplus process, for them to be sold, they do need to be appraised, so the resolution appoints the appraisal board to do that. And then, based on previous council direction, this resolution would authorize an auction for those 7 lots to be sold. We have been in contact with an auction company to conduct that auction. The resolution gives authority to the mayor to sign those documents necessary to proceed with that arrangement. In preliminary discussions on availability and timeline of conducting that auction, it's looking like it would end up being October 23rd. That date has not been finalized yet, but I think that's what appears to be most likely. The intention would be to do it that afternoon. I believe the auction would actually start around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then there would be a city council meeting held later that night to accept the high bids or take other actions in relation to those lots. And I think with that, we can open it up to other questions.
I did have somebody ask, the 8th lot will not be able to be sold until it goes through this process, correct?
Right, so the 8th lot isn't part of this surplus, and for everybody's information, including the public, the reason that the 8th lot was not included at this point is just the way that that lot is laid out. It would not be very buildable if somebody wanted to be able to improve that lot. So the advice that we were given is that you'd probably end up getting better value from that lot if you make it something that you'd be able to have somebody build on. Unfortunately, with the way that the ordinances are set up, you need to plat off the area that you would include with that parcel. That parcel needs to go through the election process like the other lots did. And then you could finally group those together to sell those as one group of lots that somebody could actually build on if they wanted to. It's just kind of unfortunate, we used for the election that just occurred, they used the property descriptions that were existing because there wasn't time to go through and do all the platting and everything to square off the lot and everything beforehand. So just kind of some unfortunate timing with that.
Okay, anything else? Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer,
Second.
second by Mr. Picardo. Further discussion?
My question is, they're a little premature.
Might be.
I'm voting against it.
Okay.
How can we ask the public to bid on lots when we don't even know what we're going to be doing with the lake, and we're giving them no direction?
You thinking that obviously without the direction, it would hurt to sell the lots is what you're sort of leaning towards, Jeff?
Okay.
For the business to try to put some additional funds in our pocket, it's not the way to go, maybe. Or at least slow it down, like you said.
Why would you bid on a lake that we have no idea if it's going to be dead?
Okay, further discussion?
I'm interested in others' thoughts, if you guys have any.
I don't have a problem with backing it up until after
Marty and I seem to be talking here, but nobody else talks, but yet you can vote what you want, which I respect, but I like other people's perspective of where you're at, so we can at least have a discussion.
My perspective on it is I'm in that business of doing homes. I think you'll be really surprised what they sell for. I don't think it's going to hurt us to sell them now. I think now is the time to do it. I really do. The drawdown is going to attract a lot of people because they're going to see there's movement. We're not just talking about it. We've made movement now. The wetlands, I just really think I've talked to a couple people that are very, very serious about buying a lot, and they will do it. And I think that you're going to be surprised at the dollar amount they bring. I really do believe that. I appreciate your passion. I see where you're going with it, but we have to be able to move past that to the next thing. And in order to raise money to do the lake that we want to do, and I do want to do that, we've got to be able to move past that. And this is part of the process. We need to sell them. We need to surplus them and sell them.
I guess part of my thought process too is that by doing it now, one, I've seen people buy property, tear down property, and then rebuild property at a higher expense than what we're expecting these properties to go for. But then also, as we talk about going to a vote and the possibility of the vote passing one way or the other, I think if you have the sale of the lot before the vote and start building any kind of fund up, that we can say that we are using this and actually going to use less of the loan, I think you're going to encourage more people to vote in favor of a large multi-million-dollar project on the lake that otherwise I don't know that people are going to get behind. When I talk to people where I live, the idea of spending $25 million, $21 million on the lake is a very big ask for a group of people that, as a cohort, I don't feel like use the lake regularly.
Appreciate the input. I'm changing my vote.
We've had a lot of interest in that, from what I've heard, that people,
We have had people calling about them, asking when they're going to be out for sale, so.
I have mentioned to Joe, well, you guys were there. I really think we need to number them and get it numbered so people are 100% sure they understand what they're bidding on. And the company we've discussed using, they'll do a great job. And we're 2.5 months out. We want to make sure that if they're telling people something, that they're giving them accurate information. And a lot of people use their phone and the GIS and all that. But I think if a number's there, someone's going to drive by and see that number and say, That's one of the lots. We might have a buyer.
And Mike,
A little bit of money.
that would be part of the process. I think Joe's already talked to SPN about getting the actual lot lines staked so people can see those. And the auction house that we're going to be working with will also go put some for sale signs on those. So that is part
But
of the
numbering, I
process.
think, is very important. So
Yep, yep.
And does this list the location of the auction, or is that going to come later as a part of the process?
Those details would still be worked out as part of the process. The intention would be to use the Corn Palace for the auction.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else want to address it? Ready for a vote? Roll call. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Smith. Oh, roll call. Oh, you're going to vote?
Yeah, wait.
Sharks.
Before I change my mind again.
Oh, did you say Sharp?
Yep.
Yep.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Yep.
Bathke.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2023-60, SHPO findings in relation to the property at 101 South Main. Mr. Jenigas?
Don, I told you this would be a long meeting, and you were last. So We Care is the business that Don works for. This is for 101 South Main Street. They provided a plan to replace pretty much all the red tiles that are on that building. There's some that have come down over time. There's some that are missing, some that have been replaced. So they've got about 2,000 square feet that they'd like to replace with it there. Because it's in the historic district, had to go to SHPO for their comment on it. Normally, they come back and they want the 11.1 case review, which goes to the Historic Preservation Commission, and they have to either agree or disagree because SHPO said that it does hinder against historic property. This time, they didn't come back with that one and just said it's historic property. They've done their due diligence. There's nothing else that they can do. So we agree that they can move forward. Well, that still requires the board here to agree that, based on the consideration of all relevant factors, that there is no feasible and prudent alternative to the proposal, and that possible planning to minimize harm and harm the historic property has been considered. So that's what the resolution before you is for, that is to approve that, saying that. And then it goes back to SHPO with the certified notification, with all the documents, and then 10 days post receival of that, then they can get the building permit to be issued for them to move forward on that project. Don is still here if you have any questions for him at all, or I can answer anything that you have as well.
I don't have any questions, but Don, really appreciate what you're doing on Main Street. Upgrading all those old buildings that have character and bringing them back to life, and it's something that Mitchell really needed, and I'm glad you're here and doing it.
This is my Gilligan tour. I came here on a 3-hour tour, and I'm here for the rest of my life.
I hope you don't get off the island.
We're glad to have you, Don. Okay. Anything else?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer,
Second.
second by Mr. Bathke. Further discussion? Don, you want to say anything about this? You're the only one left in the audience. Oh, no, Mr.
Gentlemen, there.
Mr. Gelman's here, sorry.
He's awake too.
No, I just, our goal is to beautify Main Street, and that's what we're after, and that building sure looks like a dump, so, this is not the exact item. We researched it for 2 years trying to find enough glass to make it work, but nobody wanted to touch it or even adhere it to the building if we could find it. So this is a product that'll do a good job, and they'll actually match the color that's on that building, so
Okay,
that's what we're after.
roll call.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Sharks.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries. Entertain a motion to go into executive session according to South Dakota Codified Law 125-23, legal and forced negotiations.
Move to go into executive session.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Bathke. Further discussion? Roll call.
Dosher. McCardle. Barrington. Baskey. Turks.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers. Goldammer.
Aye.
Motion carries. There will be no action after executive session.